Hello and welcome back to another cozy Inkwoven enchantment video. My name is Heather and today we are going to go over the top 5 books to get to know me. So let's get started. The first book to get to know me is Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. I've talked about this book already at length on this channel, but I truly think it's such a wonderful introduction to dystopian novels, but it's also such a good book about books, about learning, about agency, about knowing who you are and what you're doing in the world and how you're impacting the world. And so I just really love Guy Montag's story. I think it's such a wonderful telling, and honestly, for how long ago this was written, Ray Bradbury just had such a good view on what the future would look like with technology. And I think I love that so much because I'm a technologist at heart. And so just seeing his vision for what technology was going to do and where it was going to be in some level of future that doesn't have a date is so interesting. And every time something is a little hard in the world, I go back to this book and I remember that humanity is still great. We are powerful, we are wonderful, and if we put our minds to it, we can keep learning and keep growing. So this is the first book. The next book in my Get to Know Me is J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. Of course, it's The Hobbit, but really, this book has been with me since I was very, very little. I've probably read it or had it read to me over 20 times. This was a book that my dad and I would read when we were up camping, and on our way to the campsite that we traditionally went to, we actually passed this field that looked like it could have been Hobbiton, and so we always joked that it was, and it just really feels so good to go back to this story, to go back to Bilbo's adventures, to see all of the ways that I now understand things compared to how I understood things as a child, because there's a lot of difference there. And it's so wonderful. So I love this book. If you haven't read any of the Lord of the Rings yet and you're thinking about giving it a try, definitely check out The Hobbit. The next 3 books on my 5 books are all with female leads, but 2 of them are written by men. So we're going to start with those. The first one is Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn. This book actually reignited my love for reading as an adult. I listened to it via audiobook. I've probably listened to it 5 times now. And I just really love it. I love Vin. I love Ellen. I think Kelsier is such an amazing character with so much depth. And really, the thing about this book that I love the most of any of Sanderson's stories is that this one is a heist. And I didn't realize how much I loved heist fiction until I read this book. I actually haven't read very much more heist fiction. I've read a few books that are more mystery or government things, but I haven't read many more heists. So if you have other heist recommendations, put them in the comments because I want to read them. All right. Then the next one with a female lead, again written by a male, is Christopher Paolini's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Now, this book just blew me away. I obviously am a big fan of Paolini. I grew up with Eragon, and I was really excited to see that he was actually going to be writing a science fiction book instead of fantasy. And if I'm being honest, this book just spoke to me in so many ways. I have bought it for people as surprise books. I have gifted it to people. I love the idea that there are xenobiologists who study the biology on other planets. I love the different ways that the main character grows throughout the story. And coming from a place where a lot of the things I read are book 1 in a series, book 2 in a series, the fact that this really feels like one story and is cohesive, but ends really well. I don't really need a sequel. I know that there is a Fractal Noise book that's sort of a semi-sequel. It's much smaller and much shorter. But this is just such a fantastic read. Again, one of those books that I read as an adult that reminded me what reading can be. And so I love this story, and I just think like the main character is so neat. And like I said, I really enjoy her growth throughout all of it. The last book is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by an author whose name I'm not going to butcher, but it will be up here on screen. Now, I love this book. I read it as an audiobook through my library, and I am super sad that I don't own it physically because it was such a fantastic read. But I think the thing that I loved the most about it is that it's a female author with a female lead, and this female lead is a badass. She's a mother. She's a pirate. She's the captain of a pirate ship. She's super magical and powerful and just fantastic. And I love the story and adventure she goes on. So this book, I don't want to say too much more because I would be spoiling things, but if you have not read it and you love a woman written and a woman led book, this is the book. It has truly inspired me to make sure that I write my own stories that feature my own female or male leads, because they truly can be such powerful, amazing, fantastic stories. So with that, that's the 5 books to get to know me. What are 5 books to get to know you? Let me know in the comments and let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation. I would love to get to know you a little bit better. Bye!